Have you ever felt like life is quietly nudging you into something new, yet you can't quite put your finger on it? Almost as if the ground beneath you is shifting, and while it feels unsettling, deep down, you sense it might be the beginning of something extraordinary. These moments are not accidents. They're invitations. Invitations to step into a brand new chapter of your life. One that you might not even know you're ready for. Today, I'm going to reveal the 8 hidden signs that you're entering a new chapter, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. As you listen, you might realize that what you once thought were struggles or endings are actually powerful signals of transformation. When the passions that once animated your days begin to fade, it can feel as though something within you is breaking. That hobby that once lit your soul, the relationship that once carried warmth, the goals that once drove you to exhaustion, all of them suddenly seem stripped of color. Many people panic in these moments, thinking that they've lost their drive, their inspiration, or even their worth. But fading passion is not death, it is transformation. The psyche is telling you that what once carried meaning no longer belongs to the person you are becoming. This does not mean you were wrong to love those things once, nor does it mean you are empty now. It means that you are evolving beyond them. The human spirit does not remain fixed. It moves like water, shaping itself around new terrain, always seeking a deeper form of wholeness. To cling tightly to what no longer moves your heart is to refuse the invitation of growth. You might notice it in small ways at first. You no longer feel excitement walking into a room you once loved. The conversations that once thrilled you now drain your energy. The victories that once brought pride now feel hollow. These shifts are not failures, they are signals. They whisper, you are ready for something else. What once served you has done its work. It has given you what you needed, but now it is time to step beyond it. And yet the mind resists. We tell ourselves, I used to love this. Why can't I force myself to love it again? But the psyche is not interested in repetition for the sake of comfort. It pushes us forward. Think of it like shedding a skin. The snake that refuses to shed its skin suffocates within its own growth. The same is true for us. When we refuse to let passions fade naturally, we suffocate under the weight of outdated desires. You are not losing something, you are creating space. The emptiness you feel is the clearing of ground, the preparation for a new seed to take root. In these moments, you must trust that your inner being is wiser than your conscious grasping. What feels like loss is actually a redirection of energy, a shifting of focus towards something you may not yet see. This is why the fading of passion is sacred. It is the first quiet knock of the future on the door of your soul. But as this fading occurs, another sensation often arises, restlessness. It creeps in when you are sitting in the same old places, doing the same old things, and suddenly an unease coils in your chest. You cannot name it, you cannot explain it, yet you know it intimately. It feels like pacing within your own life. And many people fear this restlessness. They label it dissatisfaction or boredom and rush to distract themselves with noise, with consumption, with endless motion. Yet restlessness is not a flaw. It is a calling. It is the psyche's way of whispering, you have outgrown the space you stand in. It is time to expand. Think of the seed beneath the soil. Before it breaks the ground, it trembles with unseen pressure. Restlessness is that trembling. It tells you that your roots have gone as deep as they can hear, and now you are meant to break the surface and rise into light. This restlessness often emerges at the very moment you think you should feel content. You may have what you once dreamed of, and yet a voice inside you whispers, is this all? That question is not an insult to what you've achieved. It is a revelation that your soul was never meant to stop here. The human spirit is not designed for stagnation. It is designed for continual unfolding. And here lies the paradox. Restlessness is deeply uncomfortable, but it is also a gift. It prevents you from settling into illusions of permanence. It awakens you from the trance of routine. Without restlessness, you would never question, never move, never grow. It is the force that drives you to seek beyond the walls you have built. Yet, many people misinterpret it. They numb it with distractions, suppress it with routine, or label themselves ungrateful for feeling it. But to honor restlessness is to understand that something within you is preparing for more. When you feel that tug in your chest, when your mind drifts toward possibilities you cannot yet articulate, know that this is the first sign of expansion. The psyche does not stir without reason. It moves only when it senses new territory ahead. You may feel lost in this phase, wandering, searching, unsure of what you seek. But being lost is not failure. Being lost is the preparation of the pathfinder. Restlessness strips away the comfort of what no longer serves you so that you might venture into the unknown. It does not give you the map, but it stirs in you the courage to start walking. The fading of passion and the rising of restlessness often come hand in hand. One clears the ground, the other plants the yearning. Together, they form the hidden architecture of transformation. To resist them is to cling to an old chapter that no longer belongs to you. To embrace them is to step, trembling yet alive, into the next. When people begin to leave your life, it rarely feels like a gentle process. Often it feels like loss, rejection, betrayal, or confusion. You may ask yourself, why is this happening now? Why are they pulling away? What did I do wrong? But what you are witnessing is not simply the unraveling of connections. It is the psyche's way of pruning. Just as a tree sheds branches that no longer serve its growth, so too does life quietly reshape your circle, removing what cannot journey with you into the next stage. It is not cruelty, it is necessity. There is a rhythm to human connection. Some people are meant to walk beside us only for a season. They enter with purpose, teaching us, challenging us, breaking us open to new understanding. And then they depart when their role in our story is complete. The pain of their leaving blinds us to the truth that endings are also beginnings. To cling to those who no longer resonate with our becoming is to weigh down the soul with attachments that stagnate growth. When someone drifts away, it is not always because they have failed us, nor because we have failed them. More often it is because the threads that once bound your paths together have served their time, and life is gently guiding you apart. You may notice it in small ways at first, conversations that feel strained, silences that feel heavier than words, a distance that grows though no one speaks of it. There is no blame in this. It is simply the psyche realigning its focus, preparing space for new voices, new energies, new companions who will match the person you are becoming. And yet, in the moment, it feels cruel. It feels as though the universe is stripping you bare. But it is only through this emptying that you can be filled anew. The truth is that not everyone can follow you into your transformation. Some will remain fixed in the old patterns you are outgrowing. If you drag them with you, you will both suffer, because one is trying to hold on while the other is trying to step forward. So life intervenes. It creates space by allowing departures. And though the ego screams in protest, the deeper self understands. Each ending clears the path for a new beginning. Each departure creates the silence in which your next chapter can be heard. As people leave, another shift begins to stir within you. You find yourself longing less for the noise of others and more for the quiet of your own presence. Where once you sought distraction, validation, and endless activity, now you begin to crave stillness. This turn toward silence is not isolation but initiation. It is the psyche's way of preparing you to listen again, not to the world's constant chatter, but to the voice within. At first, silence feels uncomfortable. You may sit in a quiet room and feel restless, reaching for your phone, your television, your endless diversions. But if you allow yourself to remain, if you breathe through the unease, something remarkable happens. The silence begins to soften. It becomes less an emptiness and more a presence. In it, you start to hear things you had long ignored. The quiet stirrings of your intuition, the half-forgotten dreams that whisper when the world grows still, the truths you buried beneath the demands of others. This is why silence is so powerful. It strips away the masks you wear in the noise of the world. It reveals who you are when no one is watching, when there is no audience to perform for, when there is no role to play. Silence, in its rawness, reconnects you to the depths of your psyche. It draws you inward, urging you to reconcile with the shadows you have avoided and to embrace the wholeness that lies hidden beneath them. You may notice that in these quiet moments, reflection begins to replace distraction. Instead of asking, "What do others want of me?" you begin to ask, "What do I want of myself?" Instead of chasing approval, you begin to listen to the quiet rhythm of your own desires, your own truths. And though this can feel unsettling, even lonely at first, it is the necessary solitude through which transformation is born. Silence does not mean withdrawal from the world. It means creating the space within yourself to engage with it more authentically. It is the pause between chapters, the breath before the next sentence of your life is written. In silence, you are not abandoning others. You are returning to yourself. You are learning to hear the inner compass that has always guided you, but was drowned out by the constant noise of expectations, responsibilities, and distractions. The departure of people and the arrival of silence are intimately connected. One empties your external world, the other fills your internal one. Together, they dismantle the structures you once relied upon so that you may construct something truer, something freer. When others leave, it is not punishment, it is clearing. When silence comes, it is not absence, it is presence. Both are invitations. Invitations to trust that life is guiding you, even when it feels harsh, even when it feels empty. And in the very heart of that emptiness, you begin to discover not what is gone, but what is waiting to be born. There are moments in life when your inner world begins to speak louder than the outer one. Dreams take on a sharper edge, images surface with a weight you cannot dismiss, and a subtle yet insistent intuition stirs within you. It is as if the psyche, having grown weary of being ignored, decides to communicate with more intensity. You might wake from sleep haunted by symbols, archetypes, or strange encounters that linger in your mind long after daylight returns. These are not meaningless flickers of imagination, they are messages. The dream does not speak in the language of reason, but in the language of the soul, symbols, metaphors, and images that point toward the hidden currents shaping your next chapter. To disregard them is to silence one of the most ancient guides within you. Intuition, too, sharpens in these transitional phases. You may feel drawn toward certain choices without being able to explain why. A job no longer feels right, a person suddenly appears significant, an opportunity feels heavy with meaning though it makes no logical sense. These nudges are often dismissed because they cannot be charted or rationalized, yet they carry the wisdom of centuries. Beneath the conscious mind lies a vast reservoir of experience and knowing, and when a new chapter approaches, that reservoir spills upward in sudden flashes of clarity. The rational mind will argue, demand proof, or hesitate, but the deeper voice knows. To trust intuition is to trust the compass of the psyche itself. And yet, intuition rarely comes without resistance. Fear often rises to counter it. The ego prefers the safety of certainty, even if certainty means stagnation. So when intuition whispers, the ego shouts, "Stay where you are, it's too risky, too unclear, too dangerous." This tension between the pull of intuition and the resistance of fear is one of the clearest signs that transformation is near. You stand at a threshold where the rational mind clings to the familiar, while the deeper self urges you toward the unknown. This leads into the paradox of fear and excitement colliding. When you feel both trembling dread and an almost electric anticipation, you are brushing against the border of growth. Fear alone signals danger. Excitement alone signals desire. But when both surge within you at once, it is because you are standing before something that has the power to transform you. The psyche recognizes it even before your conscious mind can. The body shakes, the heart races, the thoughts spiral, not because you are unprepared, but because you are on the edge of becoming. This duality is uncomfortable. One moment you feel the urge to run, to retreat, to bury yourself in what is known. The next moment, you feel the wild intoxication of possibility, the sense that life is expanding before you in ways you cannot fully imagine. Many people misinterpret this state, thinking the presence of fear means they should stop. But the truth is, fear is not always a warning. Often, it is a companion of growth. The psyche trembles not because you are in danger, but because you are crossing the fragile boundary between who you were and who you are becoming. In these moments, courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to walk forward while fear trembles inside you. Courage is the recognition that if something both terrifies and excites you, then it carries within it the potential to reshape your existence. To deny that collision is to remain in the safety of the known, but to embrace it is to step into the raw and uncharted terrain where true transformation happens. The union of dreams, intuition, fear, and excitement creates a profound alchemy. Your inner world begins to prepare you, showing you through images and feelings what your conscious mind cannot yet articulate. The fear grounds you, making you aware of the gravity of change. The excitement propels you, showing you the beauty of possibility. Together they create the precise emotional tension required for growth. Too little fear, and you would not respect the weight of what is coming. Too little excitement, and you would not have the strength to move forward. It is in the balance between the two that transformation finds its fire. These signs, the intensifying of dreams and intuition, the collision of fear and excitement, reveal a truth often hidden from the conscious mind. You are being prepared for a passage. The psyche knows that growth does not come from comfort, nor from endless certainty. It comes from stepping into spaces where you are not yet whole, where you are not yet sure, where the old identity loosens and a new one begins to form. And so it sends you dreams, it sharpens your intuition, it stirs restlessness, it awakens both fear and excitement within you. Each of these is not an obstacle but a guide, pointing you toward the threshold that awaits. There comes a point when the very idea of success begins to shift beneath your feet. What once seemed like the pinnacle, money, titles, approval, recognition, suddenly feels strangely hollow. You may still achieve, still collect the markers that society parades before you. Yet in the quiet of your own soul, the satisfaction fades more quickly than it once did. This change does not mean you are failing. It means you are awakening. Success that was once measured by external applause begins to feel less important compared to the deep yearning for authenticity, for peace, for a life aligned with your innermost self. The old definition of success is like a mask that no longer fits. You can still wear it, but it pinches, it weighs heavy, and it no longer allows you to breathe freely. This shift can feel unsettling, even disorienting, because it dismantles the framework on which you once built your identity. If for years you pursued recognition, to suddenly find it meaningless leaves you asking, "Who am I without this?" Yet this very question is the heart of transformation. For the first time, you are invited to ask not what the world defines as success, but what your own soul craves. And the answers often surprise you. Instead of accolades, you may crave stillness. Instead of wealth, you may crave freedom. Instead of validation, you may crave the honesty of living in alignment with your deeper truths. The psyche, in these moments, reveals its deeper hunger. It no longer wants the shine of borrowed achievements. It longs for integration, for wholeness. This is why the shift in the definition of success is not a loss but a liberation. You are no longer bound to the endless chase for external markers. You begin to listen to the inner compass that tells you what truly matters. And in doing so, you align not with the fleeting applause of others, but with the eternal rhythm of your own becoming. Alongside this redefinition of success often comes another subtle yet powerful experience: the sense of closure before it fully happens. You may walk into your workplace, your relationship, your familiar routines, and feel an odd sensation, as though you are already saying goodbye. There is no official ending, no final words spoken, and yet something inside you knows. This is the psyche's quiet foresight, a deep awareness that one chapter has already begun to dissolve, even before the outer world catches up. This inner knowing can feel haunting. You may look around and think, why does this place suddenly feel foreign? Why does this person feel like a memory, even though they are still here? It is because your unconscious mind perceives what your conscious mind has not yet admitted. You are already moving on. The symbolic ties that once bound you to this chapter are loosening, preparing you for departure. The psyche senses the ending before the rational mind allows itself to acknowledge it. In such moments, many resist, clinging desperately to what is slipping away. They try to resurrect old feelings, to reignite old passions, to force what is already fading. But endings cannot be reversed once the psyche has prepared you for them. To resist closure is to suffer twice, once in the loss itself, and again in the refusal to let go. Far wiser is the path of acknowledgement. To say to yourself, yes, I feel it, this is ending, and though it hurts, it is making space for what is next. The sensation of closure before it manifests is not meant to punish, but to prepare. It gives you time to detach gently, to reflect, to gather strength for what lies ahead. It is a kind of mercy, an inner warning that spares you the shock of abrupt endings. Though it often brings sadness, it also brings clarity. You realize that nothing is truly taken from you without first being whispered to you. Life always gives you hints, always offers signals, if only you are willing to listen. Together, the redefinition of success and the premonition of closure form the final movements of transformation's symphony. When you no longer find meaning in the old prizes, and when you begin to feel the fading of the old world before it even disappears, you are standing on the threshold of a profound new beginning. These signals, though often painful, are sacred. They remind you that life is not static. It is fluid, and you are meant to evolve with it. To see success differently is to free yourself from chains you never realized were binding you. To sense closure before it arrives is to begin loosening your grip on the past even before it slips from your hands. Both require courage, both demand honesty, and both point toward the truth that your next chapter is not waiting far off in the distance. It has already begun to write itself within you. So, if you've noticed these hidden signs, fading passions, restless energy, shifting relationships, deeper silence, sharper intuition, fear mixed with excitement, a new definition of success, or an inner knowing that closure is near, then life is gently guiding you into a brand new chapter. The question is, will you resist it, or will you step into it with courage? Sparkles, if this message resonated with you, I want to hear your thoughts. Which of these signs are you experiencing right now? Share it in the comments. I promise you're not alone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this video gave you clarity or inspiration. And most importantly, let me know what topics you'd love to see next, so we can continue this journey of growth together. Because your next chapter isn't just waiting, it's already unfolding.